One of the biggest enemy you will have is when you are biting the finger that feeds you. Yes, one of the biggest problem you will have is when you look at yourself in the mirror, but you're seeing another man's skin on you. You are a black person, but when you look at yourself in the mirror, you so wish to be white badly. When I came across this video where some black folks that look like me are saying that black people cannot survive without white people, black people cannot do things without white people. Like, I look at myself and I look at them and I be like, do they even know what they are saying? Okay, if yes, they know what they are saying. Do they look at themselves in the mirror? Because these are people that look like me coming to make these palm-colored people feel so highly lifted. Welcome back again to the channel. My name is Sonia. If this is the first time you're tuning in, subscribe, like, comment, and share. This is just for educational purposes. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. Let me go ahead and roll out the clips I have for you guys so that you can hear for yourself what my own fellow black person have to say about her or his own community. Let's get right into this.
Black people would die without white people. And quite frankly, they're our only allies that we have in this world. Africans sure as hell don't like us. And quite frankly, they're the ones that sold us into slavery. And if you really think about it, we don't produce anything, we don't own anything, and we damn sure do not know how to live off the land. And with all the dysfunction that is coming out of our communities, I don't think people will want to help us. We as a community need to change our worldview, and we have to be accountable for the things that is happening within our community and actually come together and do something about it. This toxic relationship that we have with white people and this built up anger that we have against them, it needs to come to an end. I'm telling you guys, the people at the top is loving this. As we stay distracted, they destroy our country. True Americans do not care about race. And if you are a person that cares about race, then you are a part of the problem. We live in the greatest country in the world, and there's people out there that would die to be in our positions, and there's people out there that do die to try to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, united we stand, and divided we fall.
Check this comment out. That black man is nothing without the white man. And the person who put out this comment had earlier said that Africa wouldn't even know its minerals existed if it weren't for Europe. Honestly, that's not just wrong, it's insulting. And it's the same old colonial mindset that was meant to make Africans doubt themselves. And that is why I share these stories, because if we don't change the narrative, Africa won't move forward. The truth is, Africa was something long before colonization. We had civilizations. Mali with its wealth, we've heard about this over and over. Scholarships in Timbuktu, Ethiopia's ancient kingdoms, the empires of Congo and Zimbabwe. Africans were trading, building, innovating, and shaping global history. We smelted iron in Nok and Kush, gold-powered Mali and Ghana, salt, copper, ivory, all traded across Africa and beyond. Even the Mauritanian ore that sparked this comment I'm referencing to. Africans were mining and working with metal centuries before Europeans showed up. Colonialism didn't discover Africa. It extracted from it. It didn't create African identity. It disrupted it. In fact, what people call Western civilization was built using Africa's resources, labor, and knowledge. Enslaved Africans built parts of Europe and the Americas. African minerals powered industries, and today African culture, from our music and fashion to food and philosophy, still shapes the world. So when someone says the black man would be nothing without the white man, I flip it around. What would the modern world be without Africa? For me, the bottom line is this. We are not defined by colonization or by Europe. We are defined by our history, our resilience, and our future. Africa was something before colonization. It is something now, and it will even be greater as we keep on telling our own stories.
You didn't just abandon the hood. You disowned the people who would have died for you just to sit at a table that laughs when you leave the room. See, here's the thing. We were raised in a circle, fed by hands that had nothing, protected by people who had no protection themselves. But then one day, we were told that to be safe, We had to leave. But the truth is that you are walking towards safety. You were walking toward a throne that only invites you close enough to kneel. There was this great trait, unity for proximity, right? You could think about it like that. We didn't give up on unity because we hated each other. We gave up on unity because we were told it was the price of survival. Speak proper, keep your distance, don't be too loud, too soulful, too hood, too angry, too black. We weren't escaping violence. We were trading community for curated proximity. And it came wrapped in suits, degrees, and I made it out. But what we lost was everything that could have made all of us free. See, they didn't sell you freedom. They sold you a seat with your back to your own people. The fog of false protection is like a good way to think about it, right? Proximity is the soft lie that silences the scream. It tells you you're not like them. You're safe here. We trust you, not the rest. But you know what that comes with? It comes with terms. You'll be watched more than you're welcome. You'll be tokenized more than you're trusted. The second you defend someone too black, too angry, too real, your pass gets revoked. That isn't safety. That's curated survival built on betrayal. And they didn't lift you up. They lifted you out. So you couldn't carry anybody with you. See, here's the thing. In black society, we have this culture of containment. Black success is police. Black grief is silenced. Black rage is rebranded as dysfunction. They let us rise, but only if we forget who we're rising with. Right? You're allowed to be black, as long as it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. That's how they talk. But blackness isn't meant to be palatable. It's meant to be whole, right? We have a wound that echoes. The moment we accepted proximity as protection, we internalize isolation as proof of evolution. But real evolution doesn't leave people behind. It builds a bridge back home, right? You didn't become better. You just became alone in a room that claps but never cares. We don't need to beg to sit at their table. We need to rebuild our table. Because we have a table. A table that remembers every laugh, every struggle, every prayer, whispered through eviction walls. A table that doesn't have to shrink, explain, or perform to belong. You left to feel safe. But the circle the circle was never the danger. It was the memory of being loved without performance. We didn't fail unity. We traded it for a lie dressed like safety. And in the circle is still there. The circle that we all had, our table still there. The spot it was still there. And it will take you back. No passes needed.
You were enslaved to give white people an eternal advantage over everyone else in the world, economically and politically, including you. With reparations, you're asking this white man to undo the unfair advantage he spent the last 500 years building for himself. And that's why I'm going to go back to my earlier point. I don't think we get reparations without war. People have went to war for less than what we are entitled to. And here's the big question you got to ask yourself. Because from a Garvey perspective, it's all about power. It ain't about equality. It ain't about justice. It ain't about Jesus. It ain't about voting. It ain't about being an American. It ain't about equity. You know what it's about? The power you have to force the white man to do what he don't want to do. And here's my question. What are black people going to do if the white man gets on television right now and say, I'm not getting anything for reparations? We took a poll and most Americans don't feel it's necessary. Enjoy the rest of your week.
There is nothing more dangerous than a black man who is willing to sacrifice their blackness to be appreciated and acknowledged by the whiteness that they crave for. It's curious to me how some black people will go out of their way to eliminate their blackness just to be acknowledged by the perpetrator that they should not be fighting for their approval of. Understandably, if you are a black person who was raised, grow up, or even move into a predominantly white area, you probably had to learn code switching. You have to change the bass and the volume of your voice. You have to change the way you act, behave, and talk just so you can stay alive and just so you won't be labeled as a threat. In this case, it's different. This is a black man with a white woman, and he's changing the way who he is entirely, eliminating his blackness just so he can get the approval of a white male. Nothing, and I mean nothing at all, screams coon the way this black man is perpetrating himself to be. And of course, you are who you are no matter how you are raised, because a black person is still a black person, and a black person isn't solely supposed to act a certain way just to make them black. There are many different types, varieties, and ecosystems of what it means and how a black person is, because black person is not a monolith. However, there is a term and condition when it comes to individuals of black people like this. That being said, my fellow brother, you shouldn't have to eliminate and erase or even hide the person you are just to seek or to gain the approval of a white man who potentially was never going to accept you in the first place.
Did y'all know that by 2060, only 10% of the world's population is going to be white?
Yes, and they know that too. That's why there's been so many right-wing movements throughout Europe and the United States over the past 8 to 9 years. 2024 election is a perfect example of this. Think about everything that Trump has said over the last 8 years. All of the sexist comments, the racist comments, the disparaging comments against the Latino community. How he botched the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic that led to the deaths of over 1 million Americans. And with all of that, 57% of white Americans still voted for Donald Trump. 55% of men still voted for Donald Trump. The 2024 election had very clear racist and sexist undertones to it. But if you ask many Americans what it means to be white, they're not going to even know. So let's talk about it. 100 years ago, to be white meant to be a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, or a WASP. By the 1960s, that population started to decline. And with whiteness being a system, they had to adapt. So they included Jewish Americans, Irish Catholic, and Italian Americans into whiteness. During the 1970s, this was perfect. This is when people were leaving the cities for the suburbs due to white flight. Those populations could buy into the American dream. But by 2000, the white population started to become stagnant again. So what do? You adapt. And conditionally, light-complected Latino Americans, primarily Cubans, started to be accepted into whiteness. Also some Asian Americans, conditionally. 46% of Hispanic and Latino Americans voted for Donald Trump. 39% of Asian Americans voted for Donald Trump. Because certain members of those groups have been conditionally accepted into whiteness to maintain its survival and its supremacy. How do you maintain white supremacy? Well, you buy into it. And you absolutely can buy into whiteness. Look at Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens, Elaine Chao, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and George Santos. In order to buy into whiteness, it used to be, don't say anything about racism. But now it's become more than that. When you buy into whiteness, you buy into colonialism, you buy into Western imperialism, American exceptionalism, Christian nationalism, and Zionism. If you're willing to protect those systems, congratulations, you can buy yourself into whiteness, which President Trump is the definition of. Because not only does he want to maintain it, he wants to accelerate it. Something that 13% of Black Americans, 46% of Hispanic Latino Americans, and 39% of Asian Americans also want to buy into. So they can benefit, even if they don't say they want to. But by 2060, only 10% of the population is going to be visibly white. So whiteness is going to have to adapt again, which it already is. By 2060, what is going to make you white is how well you protect imperialism, colonialism, and wealth of the most wealthy. How well do you protect the 1% versus the 99%? Keep that 1% extremely wealthy, while the 99% fighting for resources. That is what's going to make you white. We're already at that point. Later.
Let's talk about why it feels like Black America has no diasporic allies. White supremacy engineered a global system of racial management designated to create a permanent exploitable class, i.e. Black America. Its masterstroke was the diasporic division stratagem. What is the diasporic division stratagem? It is a deliberate and historical strategy employed by white supremacist systems to foster prejudice, distrust, and social friction between Black America and other members of the African diaspora. This stratagem is designed to prevent global Black solidarity by promoting harmful comparative narratives and weaponizing cultural differences, thereby ensuring that no unified coalition can effectively challenge the existing racial hierarchy. This was done by placating most of the African diaspora with conferred identities, while subjugating Black America to proximate alienation, a state of embedded exclusion meant to perpetuate captivity. This strategy ultimately backfired. By being forced to build the very system that oppressed us, Black America developed an unparalleled understanding of its mechanics, making us the key to eventually dismantling the entire system. Here is how the strategy works. The core of the Diasporic Division Stratagem, or DDS, by granting certain forms of identity, white supremacy created a false sense of power and belonging that redirected energy away from revolutionary change. For example, in Latin America, they were granted a place in a racial caste system while still being oppressed, but this offered a defined hierarchical identity that fostered a sense of structure and belonging within a colonial system. In the Caribbean and in Africa, they were granted nation-state identities, flags, and independence. This created post-colonial nationalist identities, which created a powerful source of pride and a perceived win that focused on building the nation within the colonialized identities and borders rather than challenging the global system that created them altogether. The outcome is that these groups were given a container for their identities, i.e., nation states and caste systems. This placated them as the fight became about managing their own designated space rather than tearing down the entire structure. The other half of this is controlling Black America through proximate alienation. The U.S. model of racial management is uniquely brutal because it's a denial of any form of sovereign identity. Total alienation. Black Americans were given no ethnic designation, no land, no flag, and no nation state. Legally defined as non-citizens within the nation that we were building. Forced proximity. Unlike the colonies, Black people were enslaved and segregated within the dominant society, not on a distant plantation. This created proximate alienation, the state of being physically and culturally close to the center of power while being systemically excluded from it. The goal was to create a permanent, exploitable domestic class that could never coalesce into a threat because it lacked unified bonds of shared, recognized identity or homeland. The permanent slave class was meant to be a predictable, controlled engine of labor. However, this backfired. The strategy to keep Black Americans captive forever failed because it created the conditions for its own analysis. Proximate alienation forced an unparalleled education. We became the forbidden observers. Forced into a front row seat of whiteness, Black Americans became expert analysis of white culture, psychology, and the mechanisms of power. We had to learn it in order to survive. Also, the separate schooling during separate segregation. During segregation, Black-only schools became spaces where Black intellectual class could develop independently. We were taught the master's tools, right? Western curriculum, but from a critical, isolated perspective. Learning to adapt and repurpose the information for liberation. This produced a culture of profound innovation. Jazz, hip-hop, AAVE, and a tradition of radical critical thinking. From Du Bois, Black liberation movements like the Black Panther, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Because we were denied a past, we were forced to forge a future. So this is how DDS thrives, right? There is a subconscious hierarchy. Everyone subconsciously recognizes the hierarchy of identity, right? Groups with nation-state identities often view their identity as more valid or authentic than the synthetic struggle-forged identity of Black Americans, right? This becomes weaponized division, right? Diasporic tensions build when Caribbeans and Africans view Black Americans as less cultured or the cause of the problem, right? Then they reject the umbrella term for global Blackness, preferring their national identities over our racial solidarity, right? Then turns into the internalized policing, focusing energy on policing who is Black enough instead of unifying against the common system of white supremacy. The ultimate goal, to ensure Black Americans have no allies, keeping the global diasporic divided, weak, and unable to form a legion necessary to challenge global white supremacy. All right. This makes Black America the key to global revolution. Unlike other groups, Black Americans were never bought off with a flag or a nation state identity. That means that our struggle has never been for a place within the system, but for a total transformation of the system itself. The condition of proximate alienation provides the most clear-eyed, uncompromised, and penetrating critique of the white supremacist system, because our understanding of it was forged inside the belly of the beast. Global liberation requires recognizing DDS as a deliberate strategy and uniting under shared identity, not based on colonial containers, but a shared goal of liberation. It requires the diaspora to listen to the unique understanding born from Black Americans' unparalleled position. Anyways, you guys, please like and share this. I have armed you guys with two powerful coin terms: DDS, Diasporic Division Stratagem, and Proximate Alienation. If you guys want to learn more about this, please like, share, and subscribe as we dive deeper into these new topics that are going to be key to global liberation.
As a Mississippi native born and raised, deep Delta South, Mississippi native born and raised, there hasn't ever been a time where I have legitimately ever trusted a white person. And since I've moved outside of Mississippi, I can tell you this: being here in Texas it's odd when you're having conversations with like Black people and the conversation derives about racism or white people. It bothers my soul how much my people try to fit in or be in the circle of these people. And then when I'm trying to basically tell them how things are done or how I was raised upon understanding white people, being from Mississippi and being from Greenville to be exact, I'm always being looked at with hella question marks or being told, well, that's kind of racist when you say this, that, and the third amongst white people. And again, personally speaking, I never gave a fuck about being called racist when it came down to those people, because the shit that those people did to my people, and me being from the worst known record of slavery and racism out of all the states, you think I give a fuck about being called racist towards white people? You got another goddamn thing coming. I was raised in a household where my grandma was very big. Grandma, mama, everybody else in that motherfucker, but mainly the matriarchal system was extremely big and heavy on don't ever in your life bring home a blue-eyed white devil. Don't ever do no shit like that. My grams was real big on you can love whoever the fuck you want to love, but whatever you don't ever goddamn do is welcome home a blue-eyed white motherfucking devil. There's never been a time where I ain't ever known for the devil himself to not be a white man. Okay? And with all this racism going so heavily, and the older I get, the more I start seeing a lot of my people continuously become the laughing stock, or the motherfucker that sacrificed everything just to lay down beside a white person. What the fuck else can you do? Because it then starts making me wonder, how did y'all people raise y'all? Because my people ingrained that shit into my soul. You hear me? I watched nothing but back-to-back racism, slavery, to see what the fuck was done unto us. My Mississippi back, you feel me? I had to sit down and watch that shit, and I have that shit still ingrained into my system as of today. And not once have I really laid down with no motherfucker that didn't look like me. You hear me? The lightest I ever went was a light-skinned motherfucker, and that still was within my motherfucking community. But it's never been a time where I genuinely sat down and felt the need to trust someone of a different race. And now that I have gotten that out my system, basically what I'm trying to go about this, you as a Black person should not ever feel like you are a bad person because you don't hang around white people. You should not feel like a bad Black person just because you may look at the history of white history and see what white history has done unto Black people and feel like you don't ever want to be around those people. I just want people to understand this type of thing. When this whole allyship shit that these people got going on today, don't let these people fool you. Don't let these people fool you. Because at the end of the goddamn day, that person right there might be an ally to you, but they whole goddamn family history and generations in their family still look at your ass as a monkey. They still look at your ass as the hard Nigger word at the end of the fucking day. They still look to create some form of hate crime unto you just because of how easy it is to get rid of your ass, okay? I just need my black people to always remind themselves that your ass is black at the end of the motherfucking day. No matter who the fuck you got in your circle, white, black, blue, purple, olive green, it don't motherfucking matter. It don't goddamn matter. These people get on these internets every single motherfucking day and show to our black ass that we don't have nobody in our circle but our motherfucking black ass. And that's what I be needing my black people to goddamn stand. There's nobody that is willing to pick us up off that motherfucking floor. They might swoop us up, but understand after we finish being a convenience to them, they gonna throw our ass right back on that motherfucking muddy ground each and every goddamn time, okay? Simply just stop trying to assimilate to the white man. Do your own goddamn thing. Live your life how you feel like it is needed to be lived. But one thing I don't ever want my black people to ever feel like you need is the white peoples. You don't need them. You don't. You don't need to lay down beside them. You don't need to get them your black ass money. You don't need to get them your black ass attention. You definitely don't need to get them your black ass entertainment. Stay black, stay beautiful, and just die. But you ain't got to do it with a white motherfucker beside you.
As far as I'm concerned, the palm-colored people cannot survive without the efforts of people that look like me. As far as I'm concerned, we are the one that is inventing. We are the one that is doing a lot of things. The problem we have is that we are not recognized. The appreciation is being given to people that do not look like me. That is just the honest truth. So I cannot be sitting here to hear all of that saying that white and black people will die without the help of white people. Like how? Like let it make sense to me, because I don't understand where that is coming from. Because the last time I checked, these people rely on black strength solely for them to be wherever they are. If they did not rely on black strength solely, they would have been able to do a lot of things that they are supposed to do before now. Yes, but these people are scared that whenever they give us power, whenever they give us strength, whenever they give us anything that duly belongs to us, it will not become a problem for them. So tell me, between me and them, who is relying on one another? Statistics has proved it. ChatGPT, even the AI they created by themselves, has been able to prove it and said, black people are special. They're not only special people, they are 100%, like not even 80, they are 100% needed for these people to be able to stand. Black people were enslaved, black people were dealt with, but still, they still stand victoriously. So you cannot convince me as a black woman that I can't do without white. Like, look at one of the questions that someone actually dropped in the second clip, saying that if not for them, how would Africa know that there's some mineral resources? Like, why would they not know? For any single palm-colored person that invade any African land, it is because they knew that they have something special. It is because they knew that they are going to achieve more. They are going to loot more. They are going to steal more from black people. So, as long and as far as I'm concerned, to any single person that look like me, that will sit there and say it down to my face that we cannot literally survive without these people, I said lies upon lies. Because yes, these people are the ones that cannot survive without us. These people are the ones scared of giving us power. These people are the ones scared of giving us just common reparation. These people are the ones scared of putting us in a position because they know that will overturn it. We are confident, we are beautiful, we are strong as Black people. Black people are fearless. Black people face challenges. Black people come true for themselves. Black people can take charge and build a country from scratch, as far as I'm concerned. These people cannot do it. Take it or leave it. The only time they can do it is when they have any other place that they need to loot from. Do you get? If you don't get it, let me know and I will explain more in another video. So they are never our eye line or A line or anything you call it. They were never, as far as I'm concerned. They were never. We are the ones that is even helping them. We are their heroes and heroines. We are the one that made them who they are. We do things, they take credit. We invent things, they take credit. And then the people that invent will never show up. Their faces will never be shown. So no, I can't take it from anybody. Because Black people are one of the strongest, the bravest people, the wisest people that I've ever come across. Check any country without a Black person. That country cannot survive it. Our strength is what made them who they are. Our sweat is what puts money in their pockets. We are not lazy. We're just not given the opportunity to explore and prove to the world who we are. And just with our little spaces, we're still trying because we still have prominent, rich Black people that even these white people cannot even compare themselves to. You get? Anyways, let me not para too much. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comment, and lastly, do not forget to share. And this is just for educational purposes. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I stand a chance to be corrected, so feel free to correct me in the comment section if you think what I said is wrong. We do not fight here. We do not support any form of violence. This is just us educating ourselves. But I would like to get your thoughts as well in the comment section. Do you think that Black people cannot survive or cannot live without the whites, or the white people cannot survive or live without the Black people? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll be back with another video. And yes, with no further ado, I don't like to my videos. I'm going to be seeing, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you.